Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. A very warm welcome to Meet Menaca, episode 84, Health Impact of Intimate Partner Violence with Dr. Maria Ali, a BA in Social Work, Masters in International Child Welfare, and PhD in Human Rights. We would be going further to understand why she talks about this. First of all, what is NPD abuse? Studies suggest that traumatic experiences could make anyone more vulnerable to developing physical health problems, such as long-term chronic illnesses. It could be asthma, it could be different illnesses, bladder and kidney infections, IBS, joint diseases, migraines, and headaches, to name a few. The effects are serious, and the stored up trauma that has a serious negative impact on someone's body, mind, and spirit. So it is a subject to take seriously. So it could be shifting from one place to the other, and the signs and symptoms might vary. I just want to thank everyone for continuously supporting the show, Meet Menaca. It was created with the purpose of celebrating each and every one of you by creating positive change. It is a 90 minutes show. Please support us to spread the messages across the globe and create the positive message. You can sign on to our Zoom calls, which are also live on Facebook every Sunday at 2 o'clock in UK time. Right now, 6:30 in India and Sri Lanka time. Back to the speaker, Dr. Maria Ali. Her approach is unique. A blend of Western psychological methodologies, neuroscience, and somatic and energy healing to reprogram limiting beliefs formed during the childhood. Her professional career spans 28 years working with children and adults from countries around the world, including countries from the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, which is called SAC, North Macedonia, United States of America, United Kingdom, and Switzerland, to name a few. She has worked in various therapeutic research and policy roles in governmental, international, not-for-profit organizations and charities. Dr. Ali served as an honorary knowledge exchange fellow of Oxford Brookes University School of Law for 7 years before moving to the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences. Holding a portfolio of gender and social services, she served as the Deputy Minister for Health and Family in the Maldives from 2009 to 2011. She was appointed under Secretary of the Policy Office at the Office of the President of the Maldives, focusing on social policy in 2011. Her work in furthering children's rights was recognized by Curtin University Technology in 2015 by awarding her the Global Impact Award. In 2015, and a highly commended Women in Public Sector Award at the WinTrade Awards in 2019. A very warm welcome to you, Maria. It's a pleasure to be able to host you today.
Thank you.
Please join us in welcoming the speaker and discussing about a very important topic today. Maria, I know your work in this area is vast. Just for people to understand, in simple terms, what is interpersonal violence to begin with?
So interpersonal violence or intimate partner violence, I think, is very similar to domestic violence, but intimate partner violence is kind of limited to romantic partners. So it could be your, boyfriend, girlfriend, same-sex relationships, if you're in a marriage, your marriage partner, and also it could be ex-partners. So it's really the abuse or aggression that happens in these relationships. So if we look at a global level, 30% of the population have actually experienced such violence or abuse. And WHO has conducted a quite a recent study in 2020 in 11 countries as well. And they look at different factors, how it could be emotional and physical, and also it could be emotional, sexual, it could be stalking, it could be financial, it could be restricting, movement, it could be emotional, restricting meeting family members or friends could be restricted as well, and isolating. So these are, just different ways that you could experience intimate partner violence.
Thank you. Interpersonal violence is different from intimate partnership violence, is taking on another level, isn't it? Because sometimes it's hidden. People don't get to know what's going on behind closed doors. So what are the types of intimate partner violence, would you say, Maria?
Yeah, so it could be just emotional. And a lot of the time emotional abuse is really hard to prove. And this would be kind of taking place in sort of emotionally controlling. So in the UK, it comes under coercive and controlling relationships. And these are really hard to prove, because when you meet someone, they're not really going to put their hand up and say, look, I emotionally abuse people. So they're very charming, and they will mirror you. So they will mirror exactly what you want. So if you're looking for someone to kind of provide you with a house to live in, or pay your rent, or it could be just that you might want a business partner to be your intimate partner as well. So they will exactly mirror what you want, and then they will collect a lot of information whilst you're in this honeymoon phase of a relationship, and then they will use what they have found, that information, and then turn it against you at a later stage. So there could be sexual abuse as well within relationships. It could be that that the partner that you meet, you might say, look, I actually am a monogamous person. And then they would present themselves as a monogamous person as well. And then throughout the relationship, the goalposts will change, and they will start pushing your boundaries, and will start saying things like, well, what do you think about introducing someone else into this relationship, or have really bizarre sexual fantasies that they want to play out. And sometimes the partners will, give in, because they don't want to a problem. They don't want to, say, end up with physically abuse, being abused, or so the fear factor becomes the part that actually keeps people in these relationships. So what happens is that because of the fear, they give in. So even if they didn't want to engage in a sexual intercourse, because this is an intimate partnership, so you will be sexually, romantically involved, but even if they don't want to, they will engage in relationships. So the other part is then the physical. So domestic violence, where there is physical. I think this is the more well-known form of aggression within this relationship, is in the physical part of it. They go through this violence cycle where there's this honeymoon period where everything is rosy, and then something happens, and then they will physically attack you, and then they will go through this period where they will say, look, I won't do it again, I'm really sorry, and then again go up to that whole breaking, and then going back to honeymoon phase. So it becomes this cycle of violence. And the other one is stalking. So, I mean, this could be someone within a relationship, where I have known partners that are living different countries, but the partner has installed cameras in each room to ensure that they have every move monitored. So this could become under stalking. Even though you are in a relationship, they monitor every single move. And so the partner then becomes so scared to even leave the house because the questioning and why did you go, that could become a really big issue. But also, again, after you leave the relationship, again, there could be stalking through social media. They could be, befriending your friends and your family and talking through friends. So these are the types of intimate partner violence that people experience.
Thank you, Maria. And important to understand this. It's a very complex issue, and more often than not, people assume if it is intimate partner violence, it's only physical violence. So I think it's really important for people to take on board and understand it could vary from emotional to sexual to physical and even financial sometimes. It's really a very complex area. You have shown us what kind of intimate partner violences can be going on. So what are the main causes for these things had to happen?
It could be that in your childhood you grew up in a family where there was these type of violence, and the younger you are, I think we all have this belief. I certainly grew up with this belief where, babies don't understand a thing. And then, the friends and the parent might be discussing all sorts of things about their partner or what is going on in that partnership, or there might be even physical violence happening in front of a baby. And they might think, okay, yeah, well, baby, they're not really going to understand this. But at that age, baby's brain is working at what we call a delta wavelength, which is working at a hypnotic level, which means that the baby is absorbing everything without any filters. So they're absorbing, the world is not a safe place. And also they're not being attended to calm their nervous system down. So they are already kind of being exposed to, their brain is swimming kind of in adrenaline, cortisol, which is the fight or flight, hormones. So they're already being primed to be excited. Some people are excited to get into these adventurous things because they're already swimming in these hormones. So the younger you are being exposed in that environment, you could be primed to get into these type of relationships. Also, there is a lot of research on gender roles and how men are seen as powerful, and the patriarchal. There's a lot of research, especially going through the WHO research as well, in countries where there is a very differentiated or defined gender roles, there could be contributing to this. The other thing also could be that there is a reliance on the male counterpart to be providing all the financial support. And so they do have a power position. And also that women should be subservient could be some cultural and understanding. So this could play a role as well. But there's also another really interesting factor that I came across, was that if a country is going through political upheaval, or there's pervasive political systems where people just don't feel safe. And when people don't feel safe, they are already under stress. And even if we are under stress, we tend to snap. So when people are under stress all the time, then it could lead to that. And poverty is again something that will cause stress. And when you're in that stress moment, it might come through. So these, I mean, these are only few, and, you know, there's many factors. I mean, one other factor might be that the person has a personality disorder, and when there's a personality disorder, they can, you know, easily just be angered or triggered to act aggressively. So these type of factors, but it's not limited to these.
Thank you. It's really important to understand why people act in a certain way, isn't it? It's easier to then prevent, I guess, or for people to even understand, because sometimes, you know, it's very common for us to say it is beyond our capacity to even fathom why people do these things. So it's important for people like you to educate other people why people could be doing these things. And when these circumstances arise, perhaps it's better to pay attention and see how we can prevent these things happening in the future. Thank you so much. How does then intimate partner violence affect your body, mind, and soul? We have kind of touched upon how it can happen, what can happen, and why it can happen. But what are the effects of it? How do they affect someone's body, mind, and soul?
So let's start with the easy part, the mind. So when we meet someone and, you know, they are really nice and kind, and they might be wearing really nice clothes and looking very professional. So they might not look the part that they're going to, you know, they're going to be abusive in the future to you. So, and they might have a really good job as well. So, but during a first date, they, you know, like I said, they will be mirroring you. So you might not see what's going on. But they might say something that kind of you don't feel comfortable with. You know, they might, and then you think, okay, well, actually, you know what? Yes, they said that, but, you know, that I think my mind is playing tricks on me because he looks, you know, he looks good, he holds a good job, so that can't be true. Or, you know, he might say something quite racist, or something that puts like, or a waiter might come and in a date, and then he might treat the waiter really badly. But then you also then again justify it, because you know, in front of you is this perfect person with a perfect job who's going to take care of me. So, you know, this might just be a one-off thing that he's treating this waiter badly. So our mind can just play games with us because we try to rationalize it. We will rationalize it and we'll argue it, we'll justify it. And so soon what will start happening is, because usually the red flags, what we call red flags, will start happening here and there, but they will be on their best behavior in the first kind of 2 months. You know, the 2 months is going to be hard for them to keep up appearances. But towards the end of like 2 months, they will really start showing their true colors, and you will start seeing someone else that, you know, you'd be thinking, where is the first, you know, the man that I actually met, or where is the woman that I first met? Because this is not that person. So your brain is getting really confused. And also what they could start doing is actually challenge your reality. So they might have their phone off and you are trying to call them. And then they will say something like, oh, well, you know, actually, I forgot my phone, or, you know, there was no reception in the area. Whereas that, you know, if you look at, say, WhatsApp or something, there will be double ticks and, you know, it might have been received. So you think, well, hang on a minute, it was received, you know, I saw it. But then they will say, no, you just, you know, you don't, I don't think this is true. Or you might say something, you know, you might have had a discussion, and then later date, he might say, I didn't say that. So then you then start thinking, did I hear that right? Did I, you know, am I going crazy? So you are in this place of confusion, and you are then losing yourself because your reality, what you are experiencing, is being challenged in a very subtle way. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens very slowly. So your reality gets, just slowly being eroded. And you just start questioning yourself. So that's what happens, and also these then justifications. I must be the one who's not good enough, he is good, like without him, who am I? So then this keeps you in the relationship. And the other thing that might keep you in the relationship is that this is the life that I wanted. He is providing for me. I have a standard of living that I have never experienced before. So I'm just going to tolerate this. I'm just going to keep on going. And if I do this a little bit more, if I can cook a better meal, if I can lose that much bit of weight, he will be with me. It's just me. I am going to have to change. So these are the things that keep you in the relationship. So that's the mind part. And the body part comes next. See, the mind can do all these games, the kind of justification and trying to keep it in, questioning yourself. But the body actually tells you the truth. So if you really want to gauge, like if this person is right, start listening to your body. But the thing is, when you're in these type of relationships, it's really hard to even focus on your body and what's happening to your body. So people have actually come to me saying, like they are in this relationship and they want to get out, but they've never really questioned, what's happening to their body. So I tend to ask, is your gut okay? Are you, having any bloating issues, or, are you sleeping well? Are you getting back pains? Because your body can just go into muscular spasms and you think, okay, well, I didn't do anything. Why is my back gone into a spasm? So that, it's just unexplainable stuff. And you might be getting recurrent infections, and, you'll go to the doctor and then they'll do a screen and you will not have a physical kind of evidence of any infection, but you're experiencing all the symptoms of an infection. Or you might suddenly develop a autoimmune disease like arthritis or fibromyalgia, something like that, and you think, well, my parents, they didn't have any of this, why am I getting this? And so there's no real answer, like just a right answer as to why this is happening to you. So if you're in a relationship and you don't experience any kind of overt or abuse, but slowly you are starting to get ill and you're getting headaches and you're getting ill and just deteriorating, your health is completely deteriorating, then you need to ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? Because your body is, sometimes you might actually just start getting a twitch as well. Twitch might be, because those things are about nervousness. And we talked about fear. It's the fear that kind of holds us in these relationships. And so anxiety and all these things come through. So then we come to the soul. I particularly like the word soul here that you use, Menaca, because soul is actually a lot of the times, in the academic world, we don't really talk about soul, do we? What is the soul?
Yes, same as the medical world. We hardly use that.
Yeah, but then when you actually talk to clients who are, not in this field, and the just everyday person will come through, and they will start talking about, I don't really know what's happening to me. I don't know myself anymore. And also, like, I don't really I don't know, my faith in God has gone. Like I believed in God before, but somehow I feel like, he's letting me down, or, so then it becomes like a spiritual kind of soul issue. And you are losing yourself day by day. Just, you are not authentic anymore. You become very apathetic. You lose motivation. You just become this kind of, just a walking kind of, dead person, because you don't have the life anymore. So this is how it can actually impact your mind, body, and soul.
Thank you, Maria. Very well explained, because as we spoke before, the body part, people do realize, but unless until there's direct abuse, nobody looks at the symptoms and signs. Body can show you that something is not right. And often enough, by the time we recognize it, it's a bit too late. So it's really important that you gave those tips people can look for, and what the signs the body will show, and of course the mind and the soul as well. So thank you so much for that. Obviously, talking about the body, mind, and soul, it is also important to know how can these relationships affect your nervous system, isn't it? That can also play havoc on them. So as an expert, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so actually, like, we tend not to talk about the nervous system, which I think we should be talking about it a lot, because what say psychiatrists like Basil van der Kolk, they talk about that, how your body keeps the score. And I mean, just like how our body keeps the score, our nervous system keeps the score as well. So if you're in this type of relationship where there's high levels of fear, high levels of, aggression, you are constantly going to be on this fight or flight mode. But our human bodies are made to have homeostasis. So your body will, need to have these bouts of sort of fight or flight moments, because you're preparing for a threat. But when your body doesn't have that time to calm down, your body is going to be constantly in this fight or flight mode. And also, if there was aggression, and with this particular person, your body, your nervous system has learned that this particular person is actually not good for you, and it is a threat. He is a threat, or she is a threat. So your nervous system learns that it's not safe. And the other thing also that happens is, we talked a little bit about childhood, and how, if you're exposed to a house where there is domestic violence, or there was intimate partner violence within your parents, or your sister, or your aunt, then your body might have witnessed this event, and the event has finished. That was a one-off incident, say, but your body your nervous system is going to remember that day, and will continue to be living. And every time there's a trigger, say for instance, when you're in a intimate partner violent relationship, say you hear the car pull into the driveway, and he has come, and as soon as you hear the car pull in, the car noise, your body is already on this mode where, you're like, oh my God, he's coming, and your heart will start racing. And because your body is preparing for, this fight or flight or surrender. And we really don't talk about surrender much, but we also, sometimes feel we want to vomit. If you think about like a previous partner, and they're stalking you, and you see a post on their Facebook, you just feel like you want to vomit, because your gut is being affected, because a lot of fear we hold in our gut. And so you have this vomit response. The other thing that happens is, also almost like an addiction. So it's like a drugs. And I have worked on this forum called Narcissistic Abuse Forum for a while. I used to be a moderator. I mean, I don't really get the time to go on the forum that much anymore, but there's about 80,000 people there who are experiencing these type of relationships. And our mentor talks about this, Melanie Tonya Evans, and she says that, heroin addicts actually have shared with her it's easier to kick the heroin habit than to come out of this type of relationship, because it's almost like an addiction, because your body is so used to having this adrenaline and cortisol. And that particular person is actually going to be the person that will reduce this as soon as you get into, talking to them, because there's that, cycle that we talked about as well, the honeymoon phase, and everybody's sort of waiting for that honeymoon phase. And in these type of relationships, they will usually say, oh, that day when we went to the beach, he was just so lovely. And you ruminate on that day, because that was such a beautiful experience, whereas the rest of the time is not that great, but you crave for that feeling that you got on the beach. So that's like a drug. And you do tend to find that people are addicted to these relationships. They will say, I don't want to go back to them. I really don't, but I can't help myself. I don't want to call them, because people are saying, I'm going to block him or block her on the phone. And then 2 days later, they're like, unblock, because they just cannot. And several people have kind of talked about trauma bonding. And this trauma bonding is when there are these good moments. And then there's, where they fight or they hit. And then again goes back to that, lovely honeymoon phase where they get spoiled and love bombed. They just get addicted, and it's that addiction that's the trauma bond, and it keeps you connected to this person. And so, like, research shows that a person in this type of relationship will always intend to leave, but they will go back on average 7 times before they can actually leave. So they will keep going back and then coming out and say, okay, this time I'm really out, but then they will go back. So it's that addiction, kind of the trauma bond that happens.
Thank you, Maria. It is really important to know these things. It was interesting to listen to the nervous system, and we hear people say pit in the stomach or not in the stomach, isn't it? As soon as they see someone or even hear someone's name or the experiences, people can say, I'm about to have a stomach upset, or they have to literally stop and breathe. It is so important to understand for everyone involved how far the effects of can be, particularly in the nervous system.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the things that I mentioned, I forgot to expand on, was the homeostasis that we talked about, because our bodies are made to have that relaxed time. And it is that during that relaxed time that digestion happens. Also, our immune system needs that time, the relaxed time, to work effectively. Because if there's a threat, if there's like a tiger coming towards your way, the last thing you want is to think about, it's not running that fast. I still have, you don't have time to do that. And also your body doesn't have time to kind of heal a wound at that point, because your life is in danger. So that's why you kind of start developing all these diseases, because your immune system has been compromised and your digestive system has been compromised.
Thank you, Maria. I think it's such an important topic for everybody to know. You have very well explained what are the effects can be and what kind of damage it can create long term. So obvious question which was running in my mind is, what are the best ways then to prevent intimate partner violence at a personal level? First, isn't it, it always begins with you. First, as a person, individually, how can they prevent this happening?
The first thing is, when you want to get into a relationship, to know yourself first. What do I want in life? Who am I is a question that you need to ask. Because I think what we tend to do is, our society gives us these headings. You are a doctor, or you are a painter, or you have these titles, but you don't really know who you are or what you like or what you want. It's always what other people want, we do. But the questions that you need to ask is, what do I like? What do I want? And then what do I also want in a relationship? And not to rush into a relationship. Because when there is intimate partner violence, these characters tend to move you really quickly into commitment, whereas you're not spending enough time getting to know the person before you're inviting them into your life, your family, your bed even. You're just not taking that time to get to know this person. So take time. And if that person says, well, actually, this is not moving fast enough, then you just say, my body is more important than, just trying to keep this person happy. And so that brings us to boundaries. So if this person makes a comment that makes you uncomfortable, then you say it. You just say, you can say it politely, that comment made me uncomfortable, and I would like you not to do it again. So you're putting a boundary, and these type of characters don't really like boundaries. So I think that's one thing. And as soon as you start seeing red flags, before it gets too serious, that's the time that you could come out of it, because otherwise you'll get too involved and then it will be messy. And the one thing, and if you're already in a relationship like this, you need to be very, very honest with yourself about the expectations, because you know that they are already like this. So you can't say, oh my God, he did this again. You can't believe it. But you already know that this person is like this. So you have to accept them as they are. Then also you need to know, if you actually one day decide to leave this relationship, it is going to be a mess. Because one thing that we don't hear or get told is that if you leave this relationship, everything's going to be fine. I think that's what we get told, just leave him and it'll be fine. But it won't be. It's just knowing that when I leave, my body actually then will start allowing those feelings to come through, and you might actually get ill. You might get ill much, much later. So you need to, and also that person is going to make your life hell for a while. So just accept that this could happen. The other thing is, take care of yourself, give yourself time, self-care time, whether it is just sitting in your car for a couple of 10 minutes, even just closing your eyes and doing some deep breaths, calming your nervous system down, or going to a friend and just having a cup of coffee and just getting that self-care time in. And something like yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong is very, very important, because it connects your mind and your body. Because when we actually have these type of traumatic incidents or relationships, we separate our mind and body, and these kinds of exercise.
Align them back.
Yeah, align them back. Yeah, so I think, and then try to have a space where you can be authentic. So if you're someone who paints, then maybe that could be where you can be your authentic self. So I think that's really important.
Thank you. So I know some people even take up boxing and different sport activities, whatever it works, isn't it? Dancing, each to their own, whatever works. But I think it's really important what you said, to take up something where they can totally involve themselves in, and give that space for the mind, body, and spirit to align again and heal is the word there. So thank you so much, Maria. I know we are very concerned about individually what we can do, but as you know very well, we live in a society and it really matters. So what are the ways to prevent intimate partner violence at a societal level?
Yes, I mean, there's just so many.
The social conditioning has a bigger role.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of research actually says that, especially in relation to women, and not from sort of wealthy countries, but if you look at, countries where, there's low income countries, it could be said that if the woman is more economically stable, or they have their own living, this could, these things wouldn't happen. And the thing is, like, what I have seen is that even if you're wealthy, or even if the woman is wealthy or financially independent, not even wealthy but financially independent, you might still be in this type of relationship. But obviously, yes, making women more, have access to better jobs, better education from a very, from the get-go, and also the support system, encourage more closer family relationships and friendships. Just make time for friends, make time, because relationships are the key. Relationships are where you are going to heal, but that's also where things get broken. So, but we are hardwired for connection. And so, so that's where a lot of healing can take place. And one thing that I actually think is very important is to look at parenting. How are we, because that's where the actual damage, a lot of damage actually happens. And not to, our parents' fault or our fault, but it's just how we are being brought up. Different people will have different ideas about, how to bring up boys or girls, or even both. You might say, I don't want to pick up when the baby is crying because then the baby will get spoiled, but they do need touch and affection. And, some countries, there's, different ways of bringing up. But if children don't have affection, like touch, this is a reason why they could be becoming aggressive as well, because they're constantly wanting connection, but they don't know how to. So parenting is something that I would say is very, very important.
Thank you so much. And also, I think social support, isn't it? When things do go wrong, if firstly, like you said, it was very interesting to know there's an assumption if particularly women are financially independent or financially doing well, they wouldn't go through any of this, which is very far from the facts. If they do go through, particularly in certain communities or societies than others, like you mentioned. But it is also important then to support, once you get to know there is something going on. Personally, my take is individually, whatever the person makes a decision, as a society, as a friend, as a family member, you just support them the best way you can. That's my take on it. It has always been my take on it. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And also, it's a really difficult thing to do, actually. I mean, individually, a person will make a decision whether to stay in this type of relationship or not. That's up to the individual. But as a friend or a family member, observing someone going through this is going to be very, very hard on that person. because you just seen that person deteriorate, and you've seen them isolate themselves. They might start looking very ill. They might age very quickly, and you're thinking, what is happening to this person? I mean, this is a very difficult thing. I think I struggle with it as well. When you see someone going through this, you don't want to be saying, you need to leave this person. But I think that's what we tend to say. It's like a reflex action. You need to leave this person. But when you say that, and if they're not ready, that your friend might just cut you off because they don't want to hear it, because it's too hard for them to leave. And you are then asking to choose something that they're not prepared to do. So the best advice I can give someone, there's, different people will vary, but is to just listen to them and be there for them and not make judgment. Be supportive and just be there, and ensure that you say, look, no matter what decision you make, I'm going to be here for you, which means you're constantly non-judgmental. You're assuring them you're going to be there for them no matter what happens. But if there is physical violence, and if you fear that they might incur significant harm or death, then you would need to contact someone. And you also need to tell them, look, you need to contact whatever services that are available in that country. And especially if you're a social worker, if you're a counselor, if you know that someone they might die as a result of, then you need to actually call someone.
I totally agree with it. I think that's the only time I think somebody can actively step in and make that decision for that person. Because even as a healthcare professional, if somebody's safety is compromised, then definitely in the UK, we are supposed to be interfering and doing something actively. Other than that, we can be there as a supportive system. We have gone through a lot. You have really educated everyone why it's important, what happens, how we can prevent it. So what is your advice for people who are experiencing intimate partner violence right now?
I think talk to someone who knows about this. So just pick up the call, and just, even if you think that you might not be, if you have a question mark, then ask someone to clarify what you're experiencing is what it is, or what if it is not, then you will know that this is what's happening. And it might be really good to access a counseling service, a psychotherapist, but they have to look for a therapist that is not going to blame you, or a healer that's not going to blame you. Because sometimes what some people have said is that, I've gone to a therapist or I've gone to a healer, and they have said, you attracting this into your life. And it could be explained, in terms of, say, attachment theory. Like if you look at attachment as in, what is formed when you're really, really young, and your worldview is impacted from this experience with your primary caregiver. The three kind of important messages that you learn at that very young age is that I'm lovable and I'm worthy. People are there to protect me, and people are available for me. And when you grow up, these messages get translated into I'm lovable and I'm worthy. And good things are available for me, good people are available for me, good jobs are available for me, and also that the world is a safe place, and I am safe in this relationship, I'm safe in the job. And so really kind of question, is this really what I think? Do I think I'm worthy of good things? Do I really think I'm lovable? do I trust myself or do I trust other people? Because in these type of relationships, if you don't trust yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, you are going to put another person in charge of that, of trust and belief, and to also then define you. So it's really asking those three questions. Am I lovable? Do I feel lovable? Do I feel worthy? Am I protected? Am I safe? And are good things available for me?
Thank you, Mariam. As a family member or a friend, are there some signs one could spot? Because I was thinking while you're talking, because I think it is also important, like people sometimes might not know what to look for, even if they do want to help. A few things briefly, if you can say.
For instance, something that might not be as evident might be like financial. They might ask for money, or they might just they might say, I don't want your help, or they might actually be really kind of isolated, withdrawn, and not meeting them regularly. You might have a party and they might just say, I'm ill, I don't want to come and meet you. And they might start losing weight or put on a lot of weight as well, because, a lot of people emotional eat so they might just balloon all of a sudden, and just be putting on a lot of weight. Just anxiety, and in complaining about headaches, lots of trips to the hospital with no unexplained. So those type of things really that I initially touched upon. But also some people are really just good at hiding. So you might not know from their face and how they're behaving, but again, you might think, actually, there's something is not right. I feel it, but I can't see it. So again, we as family members, we are also fighting that kind of rational thought. I feel something's going on, but the look of it, everything is right. So we might not even ask, but the family member might want to, might be saying, I just wish someone would ask me, then I will tell, but they haven't asked, so I have to pretend. So maybe if you're feeling that, and then ask them, are you okay? Are you happy in this relationship?
I think there are two things, isn't it? Because of social conditioning, in certain social conditioning, we are taught, don't air your dirty laundry out, or be very hesitant to tell. And on the other side, in certain societies, it is interpreted as rude to be inquisitive, where some societies it's a bit too intrusive. With different societies, different cultures, we all have different kind of issues in tracking these things. So I think it's important to know in that particular circumstances how people would act, or what people would share or not. Do you think it's fair?
Yeah, I mean, like it would be really hard. And that's why always, just to be listening, just be present with them. I think that's the most important thing that you can do. And once they are really assured that you will be there for them without judgment, I think the more they feel that, I think that's the point where they might be open. But like you said, to keep up appearances, and also in some societies, you don't really want to be saying anything bad about your partner. There's no easy answer, and no easy, like, quick answer for me to also say, this is what you should do. Because every case is going to be different. Every person is going to react differently as well.
Thank you so much, Maria. I think it's a very important topic and you explained it really, really well. If you want to give 5 takeaways for people, because it's been very elaborate and we have talked about it a lot. As a common person, it's hard to comprise all this information and take home. So what are the most important 5 takeaways you would say?
Always be authentic. Just be yourself. And then put boundaries. If you don't like something, say it. And the other thing is make time for yourself, self-care. So, do something like, I know people go to the gym, but gym might not be doing that mind and body connection. So is something like yoga or Pilates, those things will really help. Make sure you meet friends. Just keep keep contact with your family, because unless there's a really big family issue that you can't connect with them, but you should really be connected to your family.
Also for the family to keep that door open regardless what happens.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's been really, really helpful. All of you will have a chance to ask the question to Maria directly. And at this point, I would also want to reiterate that Maria rightly so pointed out, whether it's boys or girls, men or women, can go through these things. And certain societies, it is also frowned upon for men to talk about these things openly, and that makes it hard for them to come out and talk about these issues as well. So thank you so much, Maria, for being open and educating everyone really well about this topic. What has been your experience with our talk show? Just to, because I know you're a renowned speaker, you have spoken in many forums. So what has been your experience?
It's been really, really good. There was preparation time, what to expect, and I was prepared and really welcomed. It's been a great experience, and I've also listened to your past shows, and I think you're covering really, really great topics that sometimes could be really hard to talk about. But you are talking about it and you are reaching people. So yes, no, I'm really glad that you asked me and invited. I feel honored.
Thank you so much, Maria. And I think that's the whole point of, when the show started, one of the main aims was to talk about difficult topics, what should be talked about, but people are reluctant to talk about. So thank you so much for touching on that point. I'm going to announce the next episode, which will be the episode 85. It will be on the 10th of April. We will be talking about body shaming, another important topic, which is very close to heart for many of the team members involved as well. The speaker will be Sadia Salam. She's a qualified management accountant who works for London and Partners, who are London's business growth and destination agency. Sadia enjoys traveling with friends, exercising, hula hooping, and going to theater. I cannot wait for Sadia to come and speak about body shaming, which is another important topic. Now, over to Suja Correa to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Menaca. Maria, your knowledge in this field is vast, and you were so able to explain this in every aspect we can think of. You made a very sensitive topic be addressed without feeling awkward, which was the best part of this talk show, because very many times we don't talk about these important topics because it becomes insensitive. We feel offended, we feel awkward, but you took all of them away. You talked about it openly, candidly, at the same time, without offending or hurting anyone's feeling, which was most important. And thank you so much for doing that. Your passion, along with your experience and knowledge, made this talk show very engaging. We were not able to take our hearts and minds away from your talk because you were talking about very, very important and very sensitive matters. Thank you so much for doing this so beautifully and elegantly. It made a lot of people should watch this video later on, because it gave very important messages, which is almost happening every day and people don't realize it. Happening at our doorsteps, right next to us, amongst our friends, but we never acknowledge this or even understand it. So next time when we speak to our friends, we must take that extra 1 minute to ask, are you all right? Is this something you want to tell us? So thank you so much for bringing that awareness and talking about a very sensitive topic with all elegance. Thank you, Maria. Hopefully we will cross paths soon and work together in improving the awareness of this matter and bringing it to everyone's desk that, this is something important to deal with. Thank you once again for joining Meet Menaca and sparing your very busy schedule here for 2 hours to be with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
A huge topic. Like Suja said, it is a very sensitive topic, difficult topic to talk about, and your expertise definitely came through. And like Suja mentioned, the best part of it was you spoke about it in a very sensitive manner without offending anyone. At the meantime, it was very impactful. And you elaborated it really well. And I think for me, at least, I learned a lot about it, much more. So thank you so much once again, Maria. Next season, next week, it will be on the 10th of April, episode 85. It will be Body Shaming with Sadia Salam. Now, it has come to that time of the day to say goodbye. Until we see you next week, same time, same place. Be safe, stay happy, and keep smiling.